So this is the latest remnant fly. This is kind of a, I'm just calling it a Guinea hackle super bugger. I did a video a while back on Kathy Beck's super bugger, which is a great trout as well as warm water species fly. And at the time had thought it would be kind of interesting to do one instead of using the Grizzly Hen hackles to do it with Guinea. I like Guinea fowl feathers. And so anyway, one thing led to another. Looking through my remnant kit for this remnant fly, ran across the cone and the hook and some Guinea hackles and thought it'd be a nice time to give it a try. The idea was to have some alternating natural and orange Guinea, and I didn't quite have enough feathers to complete the whole thing, so I ended up with some Grizzly Hen right on the front. But I think it turned out pretty nice. That is the latest remnant fly. I'll get started tying. I'm going to start the latest remnant fly with my hook in the vise. This is a Mustad 9671, guessing a size 6, maybe 8. I'm going to debarb the hook here because I'm going to put a cone on this if I can get the cone around the bend on this. So it might be a little bit small, or conversely, the cone might be a little bit big. Sometimes you have to push these a little bit, especially with the barb on there. And it popped over. The short shank hook, this is going to be a short little bug. It started out, had a bunch of leftover Guinea feathers from some class I did or project. Got to thinking, I did, as I mentioned, the Beck super bugger not too long ago, and I thought it would be interesting to do that with Guinea. I like Guinea hackle, has lots of color and contrast to it. So I decided to give that a try with just some alternating orange and natural Guinea hackle. So with the hook and the vise, I'm going to attach my thread. I'm using a 6/0 Danville in a fluorescent orange. I'm not going to have a body on the bottom of this because for the most part, the whole body is going to be palmered feathers, I should say collared feathers, as I wrap my way up the hook shank. And I broke both of those, which was not what my intention was. But that happens. I'll rethread my bobbin. And this is not, it's a remnant fly, so it is not that critical, as well as it is just a little streamer that's going to be covered up with a lot of things. So it is not all that critical that I have that base layer of thread nice and tidy. For a tail, I'm going to use some orange Marabou. What I want to do is this one had the center cut out of it, but I can still use this on a short fly like this. The only thing is I have these long ends to it that are a little bit longer than I care for and skinny. So about where it stays thick here, I'm just going to reach in with my fingers and my thumb, and I'm just going to pull those off. Pull all of those off so you get this back down. Those skinny little tips are all taken off. Now, when I bunch this together, I have a little bit fuller tail to it. Tie that in about the length of the hook. And really, this fly is almost done in that regard. I will use the Marabou as kind of an underbody. So I will have a little bit of something up underneath there. And I may not have enough orange and natural. So I've got kind of a fluorescent orange one I might throw in there in the middle. See how that turns out. And we'll just proceed. I'm going to throw some head cement along this just to have something in that underbody a little, just to help hold it together. So as I mentioned, I have some orange Guinea, I have some natural Guinea. I'm going to alternate with some shorter Guinea that may or may not work. Got one kind of a fluorescent orange Guinea that I might use, and another, it's kind of not as spotted as well as the other ones, and I even have, this is a longer, fuller Guinea feather I might even use as a collar on the end. So because I have the orange tail in, I'm going to start with a natural colored Guinea feather here. I'm going to, just like on the Beck's Super Bugger, I'm going to isolate the tip of this. I'm going to tie that in, just folding this tip back, incorporating it in the fly, and advance my thread forward. I'll take the feather then, and then just start wrapping that in, collaring that in. Pretty much each wrap is going to be right in front of the other. Like I said, I may not have enough feathers in my remnant kit for this, in which case I have some others that I'll throw in here and we'll see what it does. I'm not adverse to getting some of this fluff in here if you want to. I want to make certain that I do get as much of all of that Guinea feather as I can. So that means I start getting a little bit into that fluffy area. That's fine. Just going to add to the bulk and the action and movement of the body. I always wanted to do this with the Guinea just because I like the color and the contrast on the Guinea hackles. I'm going to sweep these back and get some thread wraps on those. Ouch. Just to try and get those swept back, and this one's not wanting to cooperate. There we go. Put a drop of head cement right there at the base of that and help hold that together. Now I'm going to put in an orange. Got a nice orange Guinea. Actually, I'm going to save that one for up front. No, I won't, because I have that other collar, that longer one. And you could certainly, if you want to do this like I did with the Becks, but instead of using, the Grizzly Hen, you could go through your Guinea feathers and pick out the ones that are the right length and everything, so that you're getting your hackles all the right length and everything comes out kind of the same. I'm throwing this together with just some leftover hackles that I have, so these orange may end up being longer than the natural ones. The collar that I put in may end up even being longer than that. Don't know. I'm going to put one wrap in to get some of that fluff incorporated in there. Thicken that up right in the middle and break my thread again. I'm going to attach another hackle plier on here to give me some added weight on that. Hindsight being what it is, possibly go with a heavier Danville 3/0 or Wapsi 140 denier instead of this lighter orange, or stop manhandling this thread so much. Get that wrapped in. I'm going to wrap my thread back down to right where I'm going to tie that in. And I'll bring that over and wrap that in. Just like the super bugger, you get some of this fluff in there. It's just going to add a little bit of action and everything to the fly. So I'm not opposed to having some of that in there. If need be, get your bodkin in, pick some of that out. I got a loop of thread there that got caught in there. Nice thing about these flies and doing these videos is breaking my thread again. Is the fact that they're not rehearsed or anything. They are what they are. Now it is quite possible that this thread is old. I don't use the fluorescent 6/0 as much as I used to. So it is possible that it is just old thread. So let's start this all over again. I get that wrapped in, and I'm ready for my next hackle. I got a little bit of that stem right there. I'm going to cut out. I have one other natural guinea that I'm probably only going to get maybe 2 wraps on here. Doesn't have any fluff on it. It's more or less just the end of it. But I'm going to put that up in here because that was the original plan. Yeah, I almost got about 3 wraps in there. I think if I, sweep these back a little bit and get the bottoms of those wrapped in, I don't have to try and trim out the rest of that. Here you go. All right, so there's that. I don't have, all I've got is this fluorescent orange, and that's awfully long. I think what I'm going to do is finish it off with this. This is not a breast feather from a guinea. It's more of not a shoulder feather, maybe. I think I'm just going to try and finish it off with this. It's kind of long, not too long. At this point, I'll be happy if I can finish it off without breaking my thread again. Get my thread all the way up there. Folding the hackles back. Start wrapping that in. Yeah, that's going to take me right up to the cone. Ooh, well, that wasn't good. Everything's breaking today. The hackle The rachis of that hackle broke right in half there. So at least I had that trapped in there. Maybe it's a sign. Yeah, that rachis is going to, I might have had another turn, but see, it's going to start getting real stiff right there. See how it's hardly even wanting to bend? I really wasn't going to get all as far as I wanted to. So what I'm going to do is I've got this Grizzly Hen here. So we're not quite getting all of this done with Guinea. I'm going to throw in this Grizzly Hen right up in front here, and we'll finish that off with a little bit of a collar. Right up in that cone. Before I do that, I'm going to put some head cement right up in there. See if we can't finish this one off. Get right up in that cone there, get some of those real fluffy marabou feathers right up in there, like that. See if we can't fill that space up just a little bit there. Look, it has a fur coat on. So I got a little bit more space here. I think I'm going to fill up with some orange fluffy dubbing from one of these feathers. I've done this in some other videos. Matter of fact, the previous remnant fly I did this. I'm going to take some of the fluff off this guinea feather right here and just spin that onto thread, making a little bit of dubbing. I'm going to put this on kind of thin. I don't necessarily want it to be super thick. All I'm looking for is a couple, 2-3 wraps to kind of anchor that cone down a little bit, as well as fill in the gap, maybe give it a little bit of an orange collar. So if you're interested and so inclined, it might be kind of neat to make a Beck's super bugger using Guinea, which is kind of what I was going for with this, but I didn't have enough. That happens. So now see, I just get this wrapped in right tight up against that cone. Put in 2 or 3 turn whip finish right here. Now my thread holds. Cut my thread away and get some head cement on that. I'll let that go down, right down in that cone. Soak down in there. And there you go. Fluff this all out a little bit, and it gets all squashed down because you're stroking it all back and flattening it to get the next collar wrap on and everything. But there you have it. Kind of a guinea fowl super bugger. Kind of interesting. I'm certain that'll catch a bluegill. So there is the latest remnant fly. Thanks for watching today. Thanks for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned at least a new pattern, if not a new technique, maybe a tip or trick here and there. If you have any questions about this fly or any of the techniques used in constructing this pattern, please leave them in the comments section down below. If you go to the trouble to ask a question, I'll go to the trouble to answer it. If you'd like to help dressed irons, please share this video with your friends and anybody you think that might enjoy this pattern. Until next time, remember, it's fly tying. If you're not having fun, then you're doing it wrong.